Coach, glad to have you here. And, the week is finally here. It's a little bit of a short week since you guys started on Thursday, but how are you feeling heading into Thursday night's game, and how do you feel like the team is prepared going into Cal Poly?
Well, we're at that point where most teams get to. You're not going to get any better until you play a game now. They're tired of practicing, and I'm tired of watching them practice. So we're excited about playing a football game, and I think we're going to be a much improved team. I'm just really anxious to see how far we've gotten.
First, let's talk about the new field turf. How are you excited to be out there playing on that for the first time on Thursday night?
Yeah, great point. That's going to be really exciting. We're actually going to practice on it today for the first time, so our team will get acclimated a little bit. I know the players are really excited about it. I think it's just going to be an outstanding facility, not only for our players but for the community, because we're going to be able to do so many more things to get people engaged in our program. Intramurals is going to be able to use it some. ROTC, we'll be able to have Little League games, high school games, band camps, cheerleading camps. It's a chance for us to get people engaged in our program.
Well, and I would say, just seeing from the pictures, I just feel like the aesthetics of the stadium, it just makes everything look, it takes it up an extra notch. Is that kind of how you feel about it? Or?
You're absolutely correct. And where that becomes really important is in recruiting. When recruits see that picture of that field, and then they get to come here on their visits in January is usually when the recruits come here and visit. And obviously at that time, if it's a grass field, it's dormant and it's brown and it doesn't look as appealing. And now you're going to have a real showcase to attract those recruits.
I know that the easiest way to build up community support is obviously to turn this program in the direction that you're trying to, but it really seems like you and the players and a lot of the folks involved with the university have really been doing their best to try to build up support, not just in Las Cruces and the Mesilla Valley, but throughout southern New Mexico. Have you guys been really active with that during the offseason?
Well, we have, yeah, and our players have done a great job, I think, of getting out and engaging people in the community. And this community has been very, very receptive also, all across the state. And, yeah, I think one of the things that people don't know that's going on here right now is the number of players from New Mexico that has really increased in just over a year since we've been here. We've got 30 players from New Mexico on our football team right now, 7 right here from the city of Las Cruces. And that's a walk-on program that we've really instituted, trying to attract kids along with scholarship players, and so hopefully that'll continue to grow.
From your perspective, how does this preseason heading into this year feel different? Obviously, it's your second season, but what are the big differences for you as a coach?
Yeah, I think number one is we've got our first recruiting class here, and it's I think a much better class, talented class. A good group of kids with a lot of speed. I think the other thing is the facility improvements. We mentioned the stadium. We also had the weight room was completely redone, which is probably one of the best weight rooms in the nation. And then going into the Sun Belt Conference, that gives us an identity and a stability for our conference or for our program, and bowl tie-ins, a chance to play for a conference championship. So there's so many more things that are positive going on here now than what we started with.
Talk about Tyler Rogers a little bit, his progression and your faith in him going into the season.
I really like Tyler. What I've seen, obviously, he's going to play his first Division I college game Thursday night also, but he does have a little experience playing in junior college. But he's been outstanding. He makes the rest of the players around him better because of his mobility. He can extend plays. He can scramble. He's a threat to run in the running game. I think he's a very, very accurate passer, and he's only going to get better every game.
Do you feel, with it being his first game, is it going to be limited in terms of the things that you want to call out there, or is the whole playbook open going into the first game?
No, the playbook is definitely open. I'm sure we'd like for him to get off to a good start, so hopefully we'll, get that done. But, he has opened the playbook up for us, being as mentally aware as he is and with the physical gifts that he has.
And you talked about a bunch of kids from Las Cruces playing for you this year. You got almost a hometown backfield there with Betancourt and Hall, and who else at running back should we expect to see this year? Is it going to be mainly those two guys?
It'll be those two guys. Marquette Washington is a back that was redshirted last year. Marquette's a little bit bigger running back, well over 200 pounds, probably about 215, and so he's kind of a short yardage role player for us. And then Larry Rose is a freshman running back that has come in really and taken camp by storm. He is a guy that has electric speed. He really does a great job making people miss, and he's something that we've really lacked in the backfield over the last couple of years. So look forward to seeing him also. And then you mentioned Xavier Hall and Brandon Betancourt, both healthy and both back, and both those guys have a lot of playing experience.
Seems like the wide receiver core, it feels loaded, but who's going to take the Austin Franklin role? Is there going to be one of those guys you look to take that kind of role, or is it going to be a by committee thing to really help out the offense this year?
Yeah, the receiving core is really interesting in that we have a lot of experience. Joe Matthews, Shapiro, Bowen, Bergstrom, Jay Brown. I mean, all those guys have played a lot. And then last year, obviously, we had Austin was the big play guy. Now we have two receivers that are really more the big play guys that were redshirted last year, Teldrick Morgan and Greg Hogan. So those are two guys that people haven't seen before. They will both also be returning kicks for us, so there'll be some excitement back there also. But I think our receiving core, along with our offensive line, is a real strength for us offensively.
Defensively, obviously at times it was a struggle for you last year. How do you feel like the progression of the defense going into this season is a unit that's going to be considerably better this year, you feel like?
Yeah, I mean, it was a struggle all the time last year. I mean, it was rough, but that was where we really emphasized recruiting. We just did not have the team speed and the talent level that we needed defensively. And honestly, we're still another year away from recruiting to get the depth on that side that we need. But we have certainly upgraded the talent level. We run much better. We signed 17 defensive freshman players. So those guys are all going to play quite a bit. There'll probably be anywhere from 7 to 8 freshmen play in this game. Probably 4 or 5 will start. I think especially in the defensive front 7, we're much better with the talent that we brought in.
Are you looking for leadership from Clint Barnard and Trayvon Caldwell this year? Are they going to be big parts of the defense?
They will, and Clint is a great lead by example guy. He's not a real vocal guy. That's just not his personality, but he is a great lead by example guy, hard work ethic guy. And the other guy that's really stepped up defensively is Rodney Butler. He's only a sophomore, but he has really stepped up to be the leader of that defense vocally and kind of a guy that they all look to. We named our team captains yesterday, and Rodney was named the defensive team captain, and Ume, our center, was named our offensive captain, and Brandon Betancourt was named our special teams captain.
Let's talk about Cal Poly on Thursday night. It's a team that brings in the triple option, which you don't necessarily see a lot in college football as much anymore. The challenge for the defense to defend against that kind of offense.
Yeah, the toughest thing about that is it's so hard to simulate in practice. You have your scout team run those plays, but obviously they can't run those plays anywhere near the speed that Cal Poly will. And they're going to bring a very experienced group in here, really good quarterbacks, running backs. They do a great job with that and control the clock, and it's just a different scheme. So our defense is going to have to play with a lot of discipline, and we're really going to have to run to the football.
Overall, I mean, in terms of FCS opponents that you could face for the opening game of the season, this feels like you talked about an experienced group. This should be a pretty good challenge to open up the season. Do you look at it that way?
No question. This is not the team you want to start off with. I can tell you that. They have a history of beating 1A teams. They beat Wyoming just a couple of years back, and they're a winning football program. They do a great job of coaching. So this and we didn't play the run very well last year. I mean, we were absolutely terrible against the run last year, and we tried to make strides and practice against that. So we will certainly be tested right off the bat with this game.
The first 4 games of the season it feels like are going to be real crucial too, because you have this game, then Georgia State, and then the 2 rivalry games, and they all feel like very winnable games for this program. How much are you stressing these opening games? Is it any different than you would look at any 4 other teams you would face to open up the season?
Yeah, we really, with the team, all we've talked about is Cal Poly. We always mention the rival games because those are the most important throughout the season, but we're really just emphasizing Cal Poly right now. But I think you're right. The schedule sets up really well for us, and it's really interesting and it's exciting. We have the first game on the new turf, obviously this game, first game, and then our first Sun Belt game against Georgia State, and then the 2 rival games. So that's about as good as you could ask for as far as excitement to start your season off with.
You touched on it a little bit, but now being a part of the Sun Belt, just in comparison of being an independent last year and maybe the struggles that came with that to being a part of a conference, how will that, you feel like, affect the program going forward?
It's absolutely huge. It gave us a real identity in recruiting last year. The Sun Belt, all the Sun Belt teams really recruit in Texas very hard, and we're recruiting in Texas really hard. So when we went there and we could tell kids we were going to be in the Sun Belt Conference, there was already an identity and a base of knowledge there about the conference. So that certainly helped. And I think you'll be able to start some rivalries from within the conference of the different teams, and that'll be interesting for us. It'll be interesting for our fan base to get to see some different teams they haven't seen in a long time. The bowl tie-ins obviously are really big. And then from the scheduling standpoint is where it really impacts you the most. I mean, last year our schedule, as we all know, was probably the toughest in the nation for any mid-major. Now you don't have those difficulties of getting games.
Expectations for you this year? Are you a goal guy? Do you want to set a certain amount of wins that you want to get to this year? What are you going to be happy with at the end of the season with this team?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've been asked that a lot. It's not really a set number of wins. I want to see our program make strides as far as being competitive, the way we play, the style of play, the discipline we play with, and even things off the field. Academically, we've got to improve our football program, and we made some big strides there, but we need to continue to get better. So I think it's just at the end of the year we'll be able to sit down and look and see how far we've come.
All right, Coach. Well, we certainly wish the best of luck to you and the guys on Thursday night against Cal Poly. Hopefully you get a good crowd out there at Aggie Memorial, and I think a lot of people are real excited to see the new field turf and see the new team. So wish the best of luck to you this season.
I appreciate it. It's going to be fun. Thank you.